Rock and Roll Geek Show 831.
Still rocking after all these years.
This is the story of my rock and roll butler.
This is it, the show that started it all. Often imitated, but never equal. From San Francisco, USA, online since 2004. It's the one and only Rock and Roll Geek Show. With the original Rock and Roll Geek, Michael Butler.
Welcome to the Rock and Roll Geek Show. My name is Michael Butler. Thanks a lot for joining me. I really appreciate it. Today is Monday, July 16th, 2018, and it is 6:01 p.m. when I'm recording this show. And I have a little frog in my throat, so I need to take a sip of the second Tecate of the day. I have a, what I think is a fun-filled, action-packed show for you tonight. I have been wanting to put this show out for, I don't know, the last probably 4 or 5 days. I just have not had time to sit down and actually record it. So the people who have been sending me emails and Facebook messages telling me that I'm a prick for not putting this episode out, I'm finally here doing it, friends. So thank you for bearing with me. Tonight, I have, among several audio comments that I'm going to play, I also have an interview that took place on Wednesday with the band Wyldlife. I went to see them and a band called Dirty Few at a place called the Hemlock in San Francisco last Wednesday, and I brought roving reporter in Casey Crenshaw to help me interview Wyldlife. Thanks to Bob, who wants his last name withheld for some reason. Thanks to Bob in Southern California for, I think in Long Beach. I could be wrong about the city, but he helped me line up this interview. Thank you, Bob. So I have that for you tonight, some audio comments and other things as well. Before we get into all that, I'm going to play a song from Wyldlife. This is a song called Bandita from their record called Out on Your Block.
I said, ground for nowhere at all.
There you go. Wyldlife. That show was so good. The bands that we saw, there were 4 bands on the bill, but I slept in my car because Wyldlife was supposed to go on second or third, but they flipped with Dirty Few, who they're sharing gear with. There were 2 other bands on the bill, but I did not see them because I was sleeping in my car because I had to get some sleep because I was not going to get home until late. But the band that came on first was Dirty Few that I saw. They were really, really fun. I'm going to play a song from them later in the show, but they had this girl on stage. The guitar player and the girl singer, they kind of shared vocal duties, and she was rocking. She was a really tiny little Asian girl, and she rocked out on stage, and they were a real fun band. They played catchy tunes, and they were a lot of fun. I talked to their guitar player for a while. He has they're from Denver, Colorado. He has a magazine he puts out, and he's also in another band called Fast Eddie. So maybe I'll play a Fast Eddie tune later on in the show too. But Dirty Few were really, really fun. And after that, Wyldlife came on and rocked the place really good. And it was a lot of fun. But both bands to me played a little bit too short, but I was not complaining because I had to go home and get some sleep to go for work. So I kind of did an Irish goodbye, as Dave Slusher says. Didn't say goodbye to anybody. There were a lot of friends there. But I just kind of, as soon as Wyldlife was off stage, I jetted out of there because I just had to get home and get some sleep. But it was a great show. I was inspired by watching the show. Just so much fun and energy and really good, a good rock and roll scene and a good show to be at. But I will play the Wyldlife interview in a few minutes. But first, I need to thank some people who donated to the show. Thank you, everybody who donates to the Rock and Roll Geek Show, because without your donations, as you know, friends, this show would die a horrible, putrid, stench-filled death. And I have a few people I would like to thank. Let me find some music to play in the background. This was sent to me by one of the donors, a band called The Last Great Dreamers. So we'll play that in the background. There are several ways you can donate to the show, friends. One way, you can go to patreon.com/RNRGeek, like my friend Michael Brown did. He donates $25 every episode to the Rock and Roll Geek Show on Patreon. Thanks, Mike Brown. I really appreciate it, friend. My oldest friend, or one of my oldest friends, we went to our very first concert together. We saw David Bowie in 1976 at the Jacksonville Coliseum on the Station to Station tour. And I went to many concerts with Michael Brown. Thank you, Mike Brown, for donating. I really appreciate it. Thank you to Joe Pawlak for donating $6.66 every episode. Thanks to Tim Schall for $5 every episode. Let me take a sip of this fine Tecate because I'm getting a little parched.
On a new situation.
Thanks to Sean Hartwell for $5 every episode. Thanks to Alex Oliver from Bathroom Wall T-Shirts for the $5 every episode. And thank you, Alex, for sending me the Rock and Roll Geek, for the latest edition to the Rock and Roll Geek T-shirt line. ILoveMichaelButler.com, and use the promo code ILoveMichaelButler. Get free shipping anywhere in the world. I unfortunately gave both shirts away, one to Casey and one to Joel. But thanks, Alex. I really appreciate it. Thanks to Robert Harvey for $5 every episode. Thanks to Brad Schick for $5. Also, thank you, Brad Schick, for sending me this fine, brand new, unopened vinyl of Cheap Trick's Woke Up with a Monster, the vinyl copy of a 12-inch vinyl. Thanks, Brad Schick. I really appreciate it, friend. Thank you to Betty Wood for the $5. Thanks to Daniel Segan for the $5. Thanks to a friend of mine and friend of the show, Michael Street, for the $5 every episode, who I will be seeing in Nashville at the Rockin' Pod Expo, which, by the way, I have a promo that I need to play of that, and I got to look for it because I forgot to put it in my queue. Thanks to Ken Kennedy for the $5 every episode. Thanks to Chiaki Hinohara for the $5 every episode. My good friend Chiaki from the Metal Moment podcast. Thanks to Brian Springer for the $5 every episode. Thanks to my podcast mentor and co-host of Mad at Dad, Dave Slusher of the Evil Genius Chronicles, for the $5 every episode. Thanks to Paul Rube for the $2.25. Another song here. Let's see here. Last Great Dreamers. How about this one? Thanks to Patrick Shanahan for the $2 every episode. Thanks to Paul Underwood for the $2 every episode. Thanks to Mario Zoth for the $2. Thanks to Bruce McMillan for the $2 every episode. Thanks to Matthew Hunt for the $2. Thanks to Eric Stowell for the $2. Thanks to @Metal Dan for the $1. Thanks to Arnie Stash for the $1. Thanks to Ron Embody for the $1 every episode. Thanks to Three Legs, Four Wheels for the $1. Thanks to Bondstone for the $1. Thanks to Michael Dixon for the $1. Thanks to John Richardson for the $1. And finally, thanks to Corey Kohler for the $1. Those are the Patreon donors. Patreon.com/RNRGeek. There's links at rockandrollgeek.com, by the way. That you can also donate on PayPal, like Douglas Free did. He donated $20. Thanks to My First Girlfriend, Elodie Johns. Thanks to Kelly Mitchell for the $10. Thanks to Jason Shepard for the Last Great Dreamers CD and for the $10 every episode. Or every month, pardon me. Thanks to friend of the show, Todd Cunningham for the $10. Thanks to John Offenloch for the $10. Thanks to Bradley Lisco for the $10. Thanks to friend of the show and friend of mine, Ralph Miller for the $10. Thanks to Dave Jackson and the School of Podcasting for the $10. Thanks to Dave Franco for the $10. Thanks to James Venners for the $10. Thanks to Jeff Thielalicki and Sherry Thielalicki for the $10. Thanks to Richard Fusey for the $7. Thanks to Richard Strom for the $5. I think Richard Fusey donated $7. Thanks to Dale Roller for the $5. Thanks to Andrew Howell from Australia for the $5. Thanks to Chris Del Grande for the $5. Thanks to Jero Carroll for the $5. Thanks to Brett Garsky for the $5. Thanks to Craig Vasiloff for the $5. Thanks to Sigmund Heidacher for the $5. Thanks to John Baveri for the $5. Thanks to John Tennis for the $5. Thanks to Greg Long for the $5. Thanks to Jeff C.A. for the $5. Thanks to Eric Lintz for $5. Thanks to Michael Williams for the $5. Thanks to Deborah Dreyfus, if that's your real name, for the $2. Thanks to Lassie Sat-Vethagen for the $2. Thanks to Bradford Page. I like that, Last Great Dreamers. Thanks to Bradford Page for the $2. Thanks to John Skiller for the $2. Thanks to Adrian Boschon for the $2. Bosch Rock on the forums and on the Rock and Roll Geek Facebook page, which I did not create, but I do approve people. Just look for the one with the most followers on Facebook, and that's because there are two of them on Facebook. The one that has the most is the one that is the legitimate one, and I will approve if you ask to be added. And finally, thanks to Peter Spark for the $2. Thank you, friends. By the way, this show is a value for value, so if you think the show is a value, donate what you think it's worth. If you don't think it's worth shit, don't donate anything. You can but if you like the show and would also like to help, but you don't have any money, you're a cheap bastard, or you're just broke, you can click the Amazon link at rockandrollgeek.com, and anything you buy on Amazon, which today is Prime Day, I will get a little bit of a kickback. Thank you, friends, for donating. Without your donations, this show would die a horrible, putrid, stench-filled death. All right, without further ado, here is, do I have it in the queue? Roving reporter Casey Crenshaw. I sat there with him when he did the interview, and I tried to stay quiet, but being the asshole I am, I kind of chimed in here and there to try to sabotage Casey's interview. Not purposely, but I probably did. Nice guys. We talked to the singer, the guitar player, and the drummer. We sat in their van and talked to him for about 20 minutes. So here you go. Take it away, roving reporter Casey Crenshaw.
All right. Welcome to the Rock and Roll Geek Show. Special guest roving reporter Casey Crenshaw here. We are sitting in the van with the band Wyldlife. Say hi, Wyldlife.
Hey.
All right. So have you guys ever heard of the Rock and Roll Geek Show? Longest running podcast in web history.
That's what I hear. That is what I heard.
But no. Do you guys know what a podcast is?
Yeah.
All right. So
you listen to it. Well, it was funny. We were just talking about this because I thought that there are podcasts with video elements sometimes where it's mostly just watching an interview, but
Yeah, we used to have a video podcast called Banging with Butler. It didn't last very long, but anyways, so yeah, Wyldlife. We're super stoked to come see you guys. You actually were top album of the year last year for 2017 out on your block, or it was on the Rock Roll Geek Show.
No, we did a put that mic closer to you.
Oh yeah, okay.
I did a top 14 albums of 2017. You came in second.
For Time Has Come to
who was first?
rock and roll, yeah.
No, for Out on Your Block.
Yeah, who came in?
It came out last year, right?
Yeah, that was 2017.
Who came in number one?
Okay.
Michael Butler.
Somebody you probably never heard of. You know Tommy Stinson?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's
That album came out the same day, January 20th.
Yeah, that was number one. Barely got beat out by Tommy Stinson.
Have you heard?
Pretty close, though.
Motherfucker.
I put it at number 2. Tommy's. Yeah, Bash and Pop. It's a great record. It's not
Yeah.
quite as good as your guys's, but
I love that album though.
yeah, Tommy Stinson's a great songwriter. So how's tour going so far?
It's good. It's almost over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you guys gonna break even on this one, or?
Hey, we might have even made $20.
Awesome. Awesome. And any so what I wanted to ask you guys is about like sort of your songwriting process. That's what I'm most curious about personally, because I love the songs. We discovered your band a few years ago, and the album before was the one I found. It was The Time Has Come for Rock and Roll. Is that what it's called?
The time has come to rock and
The
roll.
Time Has Come to
Yeah.
Rock and Roll. That record's fantastic. This new record's fantastic too. But just I was kind of curious, like, how does it? Who you write the song, Sam? Like,
No, it's a very collaborative process between Dave and I. You know, sometimes he'll come to me with like a whole song written out, even like you know,
play
melody.
Guitar, he plays guitar also.
No, I don't play anything.
That's the thing. He doesn't
Okay.
play anything, and then he'll just sing a song. Then I'll be like, all right, I'll build it from there. And then, you know, we always end up cutting stuff around.
Do you sing the da-na-na-na-na, that part, or you just...
Occasionally,
Kinda
yeah.
like that sometimes, yeah.
There's other songs like I'll have something recorded and I'll send that to him. Then he'll write something on top of that. But it's always kind of like we go that far and then kind of do it together, kind of like, what if we did this here? Like,
Yeah, it's usually like even when I like if I were to come up with like, oh yeah, so this is how it's gonna go, Sam will be like, oh, I think what you mean is this, and then I'm usually like, that's actually not what I meant, but that's fucking great too. So that's usually it becomes this like totally mixed collaborative effort, I guess.
Do you guys know how to play all the songs that you've recorded?
What's that?
You know how to play? Can you still play all the songs that you recorded? Like, for instance, a song called "These Days," the B-side of that 7-inch.
Yeah.
we actually played that the first couple shows of tour.
Yeah.
What, didn't go over?
Well, it went over well some places. And,
You're playing that tonight, right?
well,
Is this a request?
Yeah.
you did buy us some
Yeah,
Bud Light Limes,
that's
so
Exactly.
Yeah,
kind of.
we requested Guardian Angels also.
We could do both of those tonight. I mean, I could do it because my voice is kind of shot, and that might be easier to do.
And Bandita.
Bandito.
We did
that
Bandita yesterday, so
Selfish, dude.
I didn't go last night. I had to sleep.
those are all kind of rollers, and you know,
that's fine. We could.
we need some rockers.
We'll put some rockers into. I mean, yeah.
Why? Why? If there's nobody there tonight, you can just do
That's-
all rollers.
That is true.
If it's just him and I, you guys can do all rollers.
Yell
But
out all the songs.
That's not a bad idea, and then I can
feel like
just keep getting.
needs to be like a-
drunk.
70-30 rocker to roller.
I agree 100%. I like the rockers personally more, but he's a roller. So, and now are you?
You were in Exodus and you're a roller. Wow, that's crazy.
That's why I'm not in Exodus anymore.
He tried to slow the band down. It didn't work out. That was their Unthrash album. And so, Stevie, you're like you're a new guy in the band, or how long have you been in the band for?
I think this summer marks three years.
Oh, okay,
in
so
the
you're not
band.
that new anymore.
Yeah.
Do these guys tell you like what to play, exactly how to play it, or are you guys?
You can be honest.
It depends. Yeah, it depends on what. I mean, there's definitely like, okay, we're definitely thinking this, and then sometimes it'll be like that's what it is, and other times it's like, okay, but what are you thinking? And I tend to overthink things, so we just keep it with the simplest first, like idea tends to be the best idea.
Since you're the new guy, or are you the guy that gets do you get the butt of the ball busting?
Yes. Well, that's not just because I'm the new guy. That's just because I set myself up constantly for that kind of thing.
You're the guy to be hazed.
Yes.
Are you the driver too? Are you like the designated driver?
I am the designated driver.
After shows?
Yeah. Yes. But that I don't think again it's not like because I'm new. It's just I don't
It's rock and roll probation.
Yeah.
what you're
I
on.
I choose to keep a cleaner lifestyle on the road just to be able to sustain the physicality of playing night after night
Yeah.
since I'm old.
Wow, that's a good answer.
There's no gear in this truck.
You used a lot of big words right there, Steve. That was really
How
good.
you get your amps in this minivan?
Well, that was the thing. For this tour, we're out with Dirty Few from Denver. So before we did this, we knew we were playing this festival in Tulsa that we play every year, and we asked Dirty Few like, "Hey, can you backline everything for this tour?" And they said, "Yeah." So otherwise, we wouldn't have been able to fucking
To the band,
yeah.
The idea
Yeah.
to fly out and have a band backline us to make it logistically possible.
We wouldn't have been able to do
Yeah.
it otherwise. But our van's fucked up, and we need a new one. And besides, this is just so much easier.
Is this a rental here?
Yeah.
Did little Steven pay for this
Yeah, I was
thing?
gonna ask you about that.
No.
No.
So what does
He
little
doesn't even pay for our sandwiches when we go record.
That's true.
what does little Steven provide? Does he show up and give his 2 cents worth of recording, or
He does via email.
He has a very nice studio.
Yeah, he's got a
We
nice
recorded
studio.
The Come On Christina these days in the city at his studio, and used all his really cool old guitars. So
Yeah.
that was nice. I'm sure he doesn't know that I played like all his guitars, but
Or that we wore his glasses.
Yeah, we wore his
we
glasses.
did wear all his little reading glasses.
little reading glasses, little reedy.
For little, yeah,
Little reedy.
Steven, little reading glasses.
Yeah.
bunch of memorabilia? Is it just like I think you did?
A lot of purple
Well,
shit.
it's all purple, and a lot of do-rags everywhere.
There was some like memorabilia, like old like
he's
Sopranos posters and stuff from like
There was
and
a-
Lilyhammer stuff.
There was a Springsteen like master tape laying around like it was garbage. Like
Did he show up wearing flip flops?
He doesn't. We don't see little Steven too much. We probably when did Iron Block came out in January. Signed the contract like in September or so, right? So we probably have seen him 2 or 3 times in the year, almost 2 years that we've.
Is being on his label good for the band?
Yeah.
You got anything better from being on his label? You're not going to say anything bad because you don't want him to dump you.
Well,
Okay.
great studio and
The radio station plays us.
Yeah.
So did he find you guys? You guys send tapes out?
No, we didn't sign. We didn't send a tape. We feel weird doing that. I've never, it's like, does anybody really do that anymore? Being like, dude, my demo tape. Check out our band. Like
Did he
that
come
just
see you
sounds
guys
crazy.
play? Or
No,
somebody just said,
it was
"Hey,
through
this
another
band's pretty
radio
cool."
guy that they made the introduction. This cat, Rich Russo, and then I think when Saturday Night came out off the second album, he was just like this dude Rich Russo showed Underground Garage, and they were like, we're putting that out as a coolest song, and we got a couple of those coolest song plays, and then he was like, well, you should just put your next record out with us. So we did.
What do you get from putting? Did he just release it? Or he pay for?
We got
recording
some.
too?
We didn't pay for the recording. We got some money to sign with him, which is pretty much unheard of these days. There's like, we'd like to get like some like sync deals or licensing, which like Wicked Cool could probably use a hand
we'd like
with.
to sell out a little bit. I mean, like, come on, at this point.
Yeah, please.
How
Put
many
us in a
times
video
have you-
game.
How many times you met him in person? Because I saw a picture of him with Michael Monroe today in Spain, and he was wearing He was wearing the most ridiculous outfit and flip flops. He looked ridiculous. Man.
Michael Monroe and I have the same
Although
birthday.
I like Little
we
Steven.
can't say anything negative
about his footwear.
How many albums?
His footwear's great.
How many albums is a deal for? Or
It's
the
just
one?
every like I think it's like what are we at 6 months from the 7-inch coming out, or is it a year from the? We negotiated it to 9 months. Yeah.
Each release is treated separately, and we have the option to do the next release with
Did
them.
they put out that 7-inch?
Yes. So they have the rights to the songs exclusively, basically for a period of like just under a year.
Yeah.
So if we wanted to like do an LP and put those songs on it, it would have to be through them because they have the rights to the songs.
Well, we ain't gonna double dip like that.
Right.
So
That's
we'll see.
Boring business side.
But they don't have publishing or anything like that.
I don't know. I don't think so.
They do that
That's a
through
yes.
Or that's an I don't know. That's the.
That means yes.
No. We had this thing looked over with a lawyer.
Writers would know this. The answer is no.
No, yeah. Stevie says no. Yeah, we had lawyers too. This is the boring stuff.
Yeah.
man.
The lawyers would take care of it.
Yeah.
So you guys are you working on new material for?
Schmargenstein.
Marty Leibowitz he said we have him on retainer just for this.
Dewey Cheatham and Howard.
We're Jews, so we can say that.
Yeah, that's right. We get a pass for that joke.
How many songs you have? New songs that are not put out? Do you have
A lot, a lot, and we're like very close to having a new album's worth of
The
material.
next album's gonna be really good.
Are
Yeah.
they more rollers or rockers?
There's a little bit of both.
They're more.
There's some.
Because the rockers are also rollers too, for the most part.
Right.
At least
That's
that
true.
last album, the
Yeah.
rockers were all pretty much rollers.
I'm noticing like the newer album is a little bit more. It's a little bit of a step, like a little bit less punky. You know what I mean? It's a little bit more kind of. It seems more songwriter oriented, and the structure of the songs and they seem pretty thought out.
I could see that.
Kind of going like a little bit more, and yeah, I've kind of noticed you kind of abandoned the. For lack of a better term, like the sort of disco drum beat that was kind of like showing up in a lot, like on Saturday Night. You know what I mean? I think it's in that song 7.
This interview's over. We don't like that term disco drum beat
Well, you know,
at
I'm talking
all.
about the
I know what you're saying.
yeah,
The Saturday
yeah,
Night
yeah,
was,
yeah.
of course, has that
Four
beat.
on the floor.
I love that shit. I mean, it's like dance punk. I guess would be a
Dance
better way
punk.
to, which is kind of. Yeah, there was like a
Well,
dance
there's
punk scene.
there was a
going for-
time, like in early
Yeah.
2000s, every band, even if they weren't a
That's
dance
true.
rock band,
Yeah.
Yeah.
play like.
My buddy
60
had a
bars.
band in New York called The Mall, and he was in a band called Screens, and they were kind of like in that dance punk type of
Yeah.
of art punk a little
Does.
bit. So it just got a little bit of that kind of touch, and it seemed like you guys are going a little bit more straight ahead rock on some of your songs. Or like Bandita's fucking fantastic. That's a roller. What do you call that? A roller or a rocker?
That's kind of blends the line,
It's a
huh?
faster roller.
A faster roller.
A faster roller. Okay.
Yeah.
So you guys have day jobs?
Yeah.
What do you do for a day job?
I do a lot. I that guy's having a shitty day.
He's complaining about that last Exodus record.
One that tuned.
The last
Yeah.
wasn't the last one. The last one for me. But.
I work behind bars, and
So you can take off.
Yeah.
You can take off anytime you want, being a bar back.
Yeah.
You are a bar back.
I bar back and I bartend now a little bit,
Better
not as
money
much
than
as I'd like to.
bartending than bar backing.
Yeah, the money's definitely better bartending.
What do you do, drummer?
I sit behind a desk in an office.
Oh, that's why you drive the van.
Yeah, that's why I drive the van, have short hair, know about the publishing stuff. Yeah, I'm the square in the
You
band.
work for the law offices?
I do not work at a law office. I work for a bank, which may or may not be worse. I don't know.
Is that the band bank account in your account?
Well, Walter Lure is like a fucking.
Yeah, I'm this generation's Walter Lure. I went on record and said
Well,
it.
have you heard that new Walter Lure song that just came out yesterday?
No shit.
I haven't heard it either.
Oh man.
He's got a new album coming out.
Yeah, I heard about that. That's sick. We like Walter Lure a
That
lot.
Rent Party album is one of the best albums ever made.
Yeah. Yeah, he's cool, man.
So what do you do for a living, guitar player?
I teach guitar. And I teach music.
You make a living doing that?
Yeah, a little bit. I have like my kid rock bands, my adult rock bands, and we
Kid rock band.
my kid
Rock
we cover only kid rock songs.
Kid rock band.
Yeah.
So any
That's fun.
timeline when you think you'll have ready to do a new record?
We're hoping next like fall or winter.
As in
this fall or winter to record.
Probably recording it.
Because there was a few years between the last two records, right? I mean, was there?
Yeah.
Was there
Well, I mean, we recorded.
personnel changes?
There was a lot that happened for Out on Your Block. Like we recorded in the winter of.
No, in the
summer,
of
dude.
2015.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
May 2015.
Yeah.
And then it came out January 2017.
Correct.
Yeah. Well.
So
we had a label that was starting up that thought where they were gonna put it out. They collapsed. They thought being a label would be easier than it actually is. So they collapsed, and then we're like,
The whole thing needed to get
well, what are we gonna do? Like, should we? All right, I guess fuck it. We're just gonna put it out ourselves again, like we did with the first two albums. And then at the last minute, we got this offer from Wicked Cool, and we were like, oh shit. I mean, okay, well, and then you're like, but here's the thing, you got to remix the entire album. So we were like,
Did Tuck mix it
okay.
too, or he
No.
just okay?
Dan, so Tuck usually works with this guy Dan Dixon. They're like their recording duo. He does the production stuff, kind of like, just who helps with the songwriting and everything.
Did he contribute a lot to the record, Tuck? I mean, as far as ideas, or are you guys pretty confident walking in?
He did. He did a bunch. I think first when the time has come to rock and roll, he probably did a little bit more.
Oh, I didn't know he recorded that one.
Yeah,
also.
so we recorded both of them with Tuck and Dan,
Oh, okay.
and they're a hilarious Atlanta duo. But Dan does the mixing and the engineering and everything and recorded in
I
his
think
studio.
We interviewed him one time, didn't we? At
Dan
the
Dixon?
Parkside? No, Tuck. At the Parkside?
Oh, maybe. I don't know.
Oh.
You ever hear that? His old
Talks
band,
like an
Heart
old-
Attacks?
Oh yeah,
Very
yeah.
good.
Yeah, they're great.
And so this is is this your first band too? Pretty much, or?
Well, I guess, but it started, if you want to count, going all the way back to middle school.
Do you guys have
Me and
recordings
Dave.
of that stuff? Your middle school?
I think we still have some
punk
of
rock bands?
our band, the Cokes,
Cokes?
from middle school.
That was the first real
That was
band.
the first one.
What a great name, huh?
Yeah.
I think Dave played drums for that.
Did.
Oh, nice. And is that ever going to be released for super fans?
Yes.
Yeah.
We're gonna get. Actually, the only song I have recorded is called "We're Gonna Get Paid."
And
Was-
here we are.
And here we are.
15 years
Still
later.
trying to get that. When's it coming?
You should forward that one to little Steven.
Yeah.
All right, this van's getting kind of
It's
sweating
fucking
up.
really
and I have to use the
steamy.
bathroom, so thanks a lot for doing this, you guys. Anything to say, Casey, roving reporter?
I think I'm good. I think you handled it all. Thanks.
Thank you very much. And buy all of our T-shirts and stuff. Everybody,
Yeah.
the listeners out there in the world.
You got a website or something to plug, or what do you guys
Um,
find your?
Wyldlife.bandcamp.com is the website.
Or just go to our Facebook,
Or Instagram. Yeah. Most people don't give a fuck about the Facebook, I've noticed. The band Facebook, people don't give a shit. But and it's at them Wyldlife boys is our Instagram. So you can keep up with all the shenanigans.
Awesome. You guys will probably have 10 new 50-year-old plus fans. after
Fuck
this,
yeah.
Interview goes live.
Dude, we're conquering that demographic so hard.
Number one band.
Well, last night it was just me and Eric there, but he'll be here tonight too. So he loves you guys. He was up there front singing the whole time. So.
Sick.
Sign off, roving reporter.
All right, this is roving reporter Casey Crenshaw signing off for the Rock and Roll Geek Show. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right,
Rock
there,
roll.
there you go. I hope you enjoyed that. That was a nice little 20-minute interview. Wildlife were great. Let's play one more Wildlife song, and then we'll come back and do some more shit.
These days I pretty much just keep to myself. These days I'm a pretty face like everybody else. And I don't talk so loud. And I'm a one-man outcry.
There you go. What a great tune. That's Wyldlife. All right. Thanks, Wyldlife guys, for doing the interview. I really appreciate it. And you guys were, if you're listening to this, you were fantastic in San Francisco, and I hope you come back soon, friends. All right, so the Rockin' Pod Expo is coming up on August 25th. I'm going, if you're anywhere on the East Coast, try to make the trip out to Nashville because it's going to be a fun time. Angel, well, not Angel, but Punky Meadows and Frank Domino from Angel are going to be playing at the thing or the day before. That's going to be happening. Brendan Harkin from Stars is going to be there. That'll be cool. Lots of things to happen. And there's several perks. If you donate, if you buy it, go to the Rockin' Pod, NashvilleRockinPodExpo.com, and buy a ticket. And there are perks. If you pay $100, I will take you and your girlfriend or boyfriend or friend or whatever out or kid out to dinner. You can hang out with me and do a show. You'll be drinking free. For that matter, fuck it. If you just buy a ticket to the thing and say you bought it for the Rock and Roll Geek Show and come see me at my booth, I'm going to have a 30-pack of Tecate there. So until this 30-pack runs out, we're drinking, friends, so come say hello. It's at August 25th at Nashville at a place called the Nashville Palace. I hope to see you there. Chris, the guy who's putting the thing on, he made a commercial for it. I have not heard this thing, so let's listen to it together.
Still love it loud?
Oh, boy. All right. Take it away, Chris.
Still love it loud? So do we. Rockin' Pod returns to Nashville on Saturday, August 25th. Over 25 rock podcasts from all over North.
That actually sounds pretty professional. It's better than I could done. I'll take it from the beginning.
Still love it loud?
Yes, I do.
So do we. Rockin' Pod returns to Nashville on Saturday, August 25th. Over 25 rock podcasts from all over North America, recording on-site. Vinyl and memorabilia dealers selling the best in rock merchandise. And awesome rock musicians and personalities participating in signing sessions and on-stage panel discussions throughout the day. Special guests include current and former members of Korn, Kiss, Angel, Winger, Loudness, Accept, Bang Tango, Kick Tracy, as well as producers that have worked with Slayer, Ozzy, Alice Cooper, Seven Dust, and many more. More guests being added weekly. Don't miss your chance to be part of an awesome celebration of all things rock. Rockin' Pod takes place at the legendary Nashville Palace, August 25th, 2018. More details available at rockinpod.com. That's ROCKNPOD.com. The Nashville Rockin' Pod Expo. Brought to you by Blind Tiger Record Club, School of Rock Nashville, and School of Rock Franklin, a DBG Productions event.
There you go. All right. I hope to see you there August 25th, friends, Nashville, Tennessee. I'm looking forward to going. If you remember last year, things didn't go too well for your friend Michael Butler at that thing, so maybe it'll go better this time. I'm going to be a nice guy this time. I'm not going to be, hopefully there'll be no table issues, but I'm looking forward to going, and you're going to see a completely, it's going to, well, I'll save it for when I'm there, but look forward to lots of great things from me at the Rockin' Pod Expo in Nashville on August 25th. All right, I got a couple audio comments. We're at 42 minutes. Oh, we're still okay. Friend of the, I don't know who is this. He's a friend of the show, but I don't know who this is.
Hello, Michael Butler. This is Eric, the rock and roll plebe.
Hey, Eric, rock and roll plebe. He is a friend of the show and a friend of mine, although I've never met him in person.
With a show review, but first take another drink of this fine borax, Clorox bleach, Roundup cocktail.
Okay, I'll join you with the Tecate, opening the third one of the day.
Yep, having one of those days.
Let me open this one up.
Thought I'd go escape down here to my basement and do a little show review.
All right.
Of the show I saw last Sunday, ZZ Top and John Fogerty.
I bet that was good. I love John Fogerty. Fortunate Son, great tune. Oh, actually, all John Fogerty's tunes are pretty much great. And everybody knows Billy Gibbons, one of the greatest guitar players in the world.
Excuse me. So, ZZ Top, they're playing down at the fine Camden Waterfront Arena.
An
shed.
arena? Oh, okay.
It's not one of my favorite places to go, but what you gonna do? That's where they go when they come around here. Those types of bands. It's kind of expensive. It's a pain to get over there. You know, $40 parking and $14 for a cheap beer, and it holds probably 12 to 20,000 people, but probably only a couple thousand seats are any good for the view. But
Yeah, it's a typical
I had
amphitheater.
ZZ Top on my bucket list to see for a
You
long
never seen
time,
ZZ
but
Top?
finally
I saw
figured I should
ZZ Top on the Fandango tour, which was like 1977 or 78, something like that. They had, I probably said this before, but they carried a bunch of livestock with them. They had two bison or bulls, which rose up from the side of the stage and just kind of like stood there on the side of the stage. And they also had a couple of turkey vultures sitting there on the stage as well.
them. So
It was a great
got
show.
down there. I was seated off kind of to the right. There was a
That was back before they had the beards.
opening band. I don't remember the guy's name. He played. He had like a vest with no shirt underneath and like a hat, and he played guitar with like a drum machine, and he had a
That sounds like
singer on the side, and
Johnny the Gay. All right.
didn't care for that.
Okay.
So that guy got done on 7:30, and then ZZ Top came on really pretty quick.
ZZ Top opened for John Fogerty.
First off, I mean, Billy Gibbons sounded incredible. I could just listen to him play all
Yeah.
day. He
Yeah.
shreds.
He shreds it. He
not
makes it
saying
look
anything
easy.
that
He makes it.
isn't well
He
known,
shreds so well. He makes it. He looks like he's not shredding. He's so good.
and he still looks cool. I know there's.
That's because he is cool.
I'm kind of with you with that thing where I don't like musicians wearing sunglasses, but
He
he's
wears 'em.
The exception that
Yeah,
proves the rule.
there's a couple. There's a couple of guys who can wear sunglasses. Ian Hunter, Billy Gibbons. I can't think of too many more, but those are the two exceptions.
He just looks cool. And Dusty Hill just, he's gained a little weight, but he's still
Oh, really?
he's still cool looking too.
Great
and
bass player, and he's
half
got the
time
good
he looks
voice.
like he's not doing anything. Like he's
He's a good,
but
solid
then you
bass
look
player.
closely and you look on the monitor, and you just see like one finger just going like with like machine gun. Set list wise, started off with
Hold on. me. All right, go ahead.
Got Me Under Pressure.
You got me under pressure. Got me under pressure.
Then they played I Thank You.
You didn't have to love me like you did, but I thank you. Good one.
Then they went into Waiting for the Bus.
Have mercy.
And then right into Jesus.
Jesus just left Chicago.
And then Give Me All Your Lovin'.
Give me all your loving, all your hugs and kisses too. All right.
Pearl Necklace.
You want
I
a
was
pearl
psyched to hear
necklace?
that. I don't know if that's a common song for them to play. It seems like a slightly deeper cut, but that's one of my favorite songs by them. And then I'm Bad, Nationwide.
Nationwide.
And then Dusty went over to some kind of keyboard thing. And
Oh,
they
really?
played kind of a
Rough Boys?
short version of Just Got Paid.
Oh, that's a good on keyboards. That's a guitar song. Great one, off of Tres Hombres.
And then after that, Billy Gibbons talked about that he recently had hung out with Jeff Beck for his birthday, and then Jeff Beck wanted to jam and wanted to play a country song. So he said, "Oh, let's try this out." Like he hadn't played it before, but so they did that. 15 tons, sold my soul to the company, whatever that song.
I know 15 tons, and what do you get? Another day older and deeper in debt. Is that one? That one?
Then they went into Beer Drinkers, Hellraisers.
Beer drink. Oh, you know that one.
And then he switched from his, like, he was playing like I don't know my guitars that well, but he was playing like a Gibson SG kind of looking shaped guitar with like a really nice ornate bridge. Then he switched to like a black guitar that was tuned for slide. So he played slide, and I think, like, I wrote notes down. I guess they played Just Got Paid Again. I don't know.
It doesn't sound
like
right.
A different version of it.
Oh, really?
And then Sharp Dressed Man, which that
every girl crazy about a
got all the
yeah, that's the hit.
you know, that got all the middle-aged women going, you know. And you know what they say about middle-aged women who
You know
like
what-
ZZ Top.
They fuck.
And they both switched to their fuzzy
Yeah,
white
they're gonna
fuzzy
spin them
guitars,
around.
and they played those square guitars, and they played legs.
You got a
And then they had the
leg.
fake encore, and when they came back, they went into La Grange.
Ooh, yeah. Ha 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 ha. Great, one of the great rock riffs.
And like one criticism, if I had any criticism of the show, it would be that the drumming was like a little bit off, like a little bit slow at times. I felt like.
Huh.
I mean, it was pretty good, but I don't know.
Frank Beard usually keeps the groove down solid.
Like he has that part at the beginning where he's playing the sticks, you know, playing the drumsticks like tick 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 tick.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
he kind of just was off for the whole like first half of the song.
Maybe the in-ears
He never
were
got
out.
into the groove of it really. But that was, I mean, other than that, it was a great show. The last song they played was Tush. And he did a
I'm
thing
just
where
looking for some tush.
He had a cigar that he found on the side of the stage.
Down,
or something, and
down,
before he came
down,
out,
down.
and then they just went out, and the dog ran across the stage. I mean,
A
the
dog?
across
Huh.
it was really good. And I was there for ZZ Top mostly, but John Fogerty was just kind of a bonus. I'm not a huge CCR fan, but I do like a lot of their songs. But I think most of the people that were there were really there to see him, because that's when like people were all getting on their feet. And
They were not on their feet for Z.
So we'll go into that.
I'll bet you if John Fogerty opened and ZZ Top closed, they'd be on their feet for ZZ Top. Just a guess.
set list, I don't really, you know, he played center field and, you know,
Put
Green
me
River
in,
and
coach.
all, you know, Fortunate Son, and he would talk in between the songs, and he had I think his two sons are in his band, and drummer was
I was at NAMM one time, and when I was with Jet Boy, and we played at NAMM, and we were walking around, and John Fogerty walked by with his family, and I was kind of starstruck. I didn't talk to him because I was afraid to, but we kind of followed him around like behind him, kind of trailed behind him like 100 feet.
What's his name? Kenny Aronoff.
Oh, does he play
Guy
with John
from
Fogerty
John
drums?
Cougar Mellencamp's band. So
Kenny
he
Aronoff, great
put on
drummer.
a good show. My favorite part was probably Billy Gibbons came out, and they did this one song that they
A new
wrote
song.
together, and then they went into Green River. So John Fogerty, I mean, he's still looking cool too. You know, he's dyeing his hair and stuff, but he's still got he shreds on guitar too. Actually, like I didn't really think of him. I think of him as like just a songwriter kind of guy.
That's
but
what I thought too.
He was like trading licks with Billy Gibbons
that's
during their
good.
song. It was pretty cool. So, all right, I'm running long here. Thank you for the time on your air, on your Rock and Roll Geek show, Michael. And cheers, man. Stay frosty.
Stay frosty, rock and roll plebe.
Bye.
You too can leave an audio comment. Area code 706-621-ROCK. That's area code 706-621-7625. Or you can do like Eric the Rock and Roll Plebe did and record it on your phone or whatever and just email it to me at rockandrollgeek@gmail.com. Let's play another song. We'll come back and do some more bullshit. How about, all right, the band that played before Wyldlife was called Dirty Few. Like I said, they were a lot of fun. They had this little girl. She's not a girl. She's not. I don't think she's that young. I'm guessing she's maybe in her early 30s or something like that. But she rocked out on stage, and when I saw her off stage, she looked really short. But on stage, she looked, 10 feet tall, and she was really good. To me, she was the highlight of the band. But the whole band was good. They were a lot of fun. They just rocked out. This is a song from them called. The band is called Dirty Few. This song is called I Don't Want to Throw Up. There you go, Dirty Few. They were really good. If they come, they're from Denver, Colorado. If they come around, go watch them. It's a fun band. They're kind of drunk punk rock, but it's catchy tunes, and the girl's cute, and she sings great, and she rocks out on stage, and the rest of the band is great too. All right, another audio comment, and then we'll read a couple emails and get the hell out of here. This is from friend of the show, Bob Nalbandian.
Giving you
Oh,
a
whoa,
call.
whoa, whoa, back it up here. Back it up.
Hey, Michael Butler.
Hey,
This
Bob.
is Bob Nalbandian
Hey, Bob
giving you a
Nalbandian.
call, and I'm calling because I've got a show review for you. This is not a show review of a live concert. This is actually a show review of the latest Rock and Roll Geek Show episode.
Uh-oh, here we go. Let me brace myself. Here it comes. All right. Hit me with it, Bob.
The fantastic episode you did on Nazareth. I have been waiting for you to do a track by track on the great band Nazareth of their catalog. I love your track by track episodes. I just heard the one you did with Ghost and the one you previously did with Judas Priest and so many of the others. And I also love the great tribute podcasts you always do. The one you did on Ronnie Montrose and Johnny Winter and Foghat and so many others, which I really dig because there's really no other podcasters out there. I mean, I'm 53. I believe you're a couple years older, but you come from my school. You understand the legendary status of some of these early 70s artists and bands that inspired so many of the 80s bands that rarely get the recognition. And I love the fact that you are always giving these artists props. The Derek St. Holm interview was fantastic. And Nazareth catalog track by track that you did. So glad you did.
He's referring to the last episode I did with Robert Lawson, who wrote a great book called Rasmus Naz, A Listener's Guide to Nazareth. We went through every Nazareth album and talked about every single Nazareth album and played a little bit of songs from each album.
And was very impressed with your partner, Robert Lawson. I definitely got to pick up that book, Rasmus Naz. I think for the most part, you guys were right on. But I'll go ahead and give you my show review here.
He is going to hit me with it. All right.
Going back to their early catalog, I wasn't really too aware of their first two albums.
Me neither.
I remember I actually got that video of Morning Dew they did, I believe on the Beat Club or was it the old Great Whistle Test? But a really cool live version. You could find that on YouTube.
I've seen it.
Kind of an acoustic version of a very, very young Nazareth. So many people don't realize that they've been around since 71. Actually, I believe before then they were out touring. One of the, they really came from the school of Zeppelin, Deep Purple, Sabbath, Jethro Tull, that era. But definitely Nazareth were one of the true pioneers of hard rock music, and I'm glad you dug back in that old catalog. Rasmus Naz was really the first album that got my attention.
Me too.
Great review on that, but I can't believe you didn't mention the Ballad of Hollis Brown. A Bob Dylan cover, but such a heavy rendition of that
that's
song.
Right. Yeah.
The low
I talked about it briefly.
The bass and guitars, Dan McCafferty's voice, so dark, so doomy, so heavy. Such an underrated song.
Actually, they did all their covers. They made the covers great. They made them all their own.
So great about Nazareth is they just really covered all spectrums, from ballads to ultra heavy to even dark and doomy. I had to laugh when you guys were talking about Too Close for Rock and Roll.
Close enough.
That is actually on the song Telegram. That is Manny Charlton singing lead on the Here We Go Again part.
There you go,
I didn't
Robert.
even know that. I actually asked Manny when I interviewed him, and he said that was actually him that sang the lead. It's kind of
hear that, Robert Lawson? Manny Charlton sings that part.
Beatles-ish sing-along at the end, and I think that is absolutely one of the most classic hard rock songs in history.
It's the greatest.
Breakdown.
It is the greatest concert opener of all time, Telegram.
Parts reminds me a bit of Bohemian Rhapsody. In fact, another Queen comparison, think about it. How many bands actually have a guitar solo within a studio song? You got Nazareth with Soundcheck, which is a subtitle of Telegram, of course, and Queen, Brighton Rock. And when I interviewed Manny about that, he said that song was based around the guitar loop of that riff. And he said he just created that loop and just added layers to it. I can't agree more with you about Hair of the Dog, Changing Times, Miss Misery, Beggar's Day. That to me is the ultimate Nazareth album, and I think one of the top metal albums of all time. And I do say metal because that is one of the original hard rock, heavy metal albums. I'll put that against any Deep Purple, Sabbath, Zeppelin.
And probably one of the most underappreciated hard rock albums of all time.
Priest album, absolute classic. Please Don't Judas Me is such a great underrated song. Metallica actually covered that song.
I did not know that.
I don't believe on an album, but they did it in some acoustic venue, which you can actually see it on YouTube. Here's where I'm going to dock some points off you.
There you go.
Playing the game, dude.
Come on.
You skipped right over that album. Come on.
Because I don't know that album. What's on Playing the Game? I got to look for it. You go ahead. I'll take it. Go ahead. Hit me, Bob.
That album is brilliant, and very few people talk about it. Go back, listen to Somebody to Roll. That opening riff in that song with Manny Charlton coming in with that slide guitar riff.
I don't really know that album that well.
That is the ultimate riff, and Dan McCafferty's vocals sound so killer. Again, I got to credit the great Manny Charlton, a god amongst guitarists and producers.
He is.
Probably one of the best produced Nazareth albums. I mean, Glover did a great job on the previous albums, but this album, you just breezed right through it, man. Check out Waiting for the Man. Going back to Queen, this song has one of the best bass grooves ever. And I remember when I first heard this album actually came out, I believe, a couple years before Queen.
1976.
Queen comes out with another one, Bites the Dust. Became a #1 hit everywhere. I believe that was Queen's biggest charting song ever. It was on the rock charts, #1 on the disco charts, #1 on the R&B charts. They totally rip off Waiting for the Man. That was the original bass and drum groove that I strongly believe inspired Queen to write the song Another One Bites the Dust.
School and Me.
Go back and listen to that, dude.
I will listen to it. Okay.
And I love the way how the song fades at the end, and it just fades out with the drum and bass groove. I think you'll agree that is a classic album.
I will go back and listen to Playing the Game, Bob.
Down Home Girl. I didn't realize that was a cover until recently, but I thought it was typical Dan McCafferty lyrics. Check out the lyrics on that song. Very classic, great song. The other songs on that album, I agree, aren't that great, but just those 3 songs in particular truly make that album a must-have Nazareth
so there's
album.
3 good songs on the album.
I agree with you guys
Great
on that.
album.
I thought the production was a little bit thin, except you neglected once again Michael Butler to talk about one of the ultimate riffs in hard rock and metal.
Wait a minute. On Expect No Mercy? Which one did I not talk about on Expect No Mercy? Let me think about it. I'm going to have to pull up my Nazareth now because you're starting to piss me off here, Bob. I'm just kidding. You're not pissing me off. But all right, I'm gonna let you go. I'm going to look for Nazareth.
Kentucky Fried Blues.
Oh, please. That's great. Come on. You're right. I did not talk about Kentucky Fried Blues, but it is a great tune. You're right.
That song, that guitar tone. Again, Manny Charlton production. As I mentioned, the title track might have sounded thin, but Kentucky Fried Blues, that riff is so fucking thick and just monstrous.
Yeah,
and I will say probably one of the greatest vocal performances ever from Dan.
Oh, yeah. Here you go. All right, don't get me started geeking out on Nazareth. I ain't got time to do that tonight.
That song is so fucking ballsy.
It's
and
good.
Heavy.
You're right.
It's
it's
something
good.
you neglected to mention. Again,
You're
Nazareth
right.
for me, they were a fantastic.
I only didn't have all night to do it. I mean, we did Shot Me Down, Gone Dead Train, Expect No Mercy, New York Broken Toy, Place in Your Heart. That's a great album.
Band. Again, like bands like Queen and Cheap Trick and Thin Lizzy and UFO and so many of the bands of the 70s, they went through all spectrums.
He's not really calling me out. I mean, I guess he's mad I didn't talk about that one song, but, all right.
Musical genres. And I think Nazareth more so than most of those bands.
Nobody, you ask people, hey, you heard of Nazareth? They think, oh, Love Hurts. They don't even know Nazareth did Love Hurts. They know the song Love Hurts, but nobody knows Nazareth. Although everybody's heard Hair of the Dog. Nah, you're messing with a son of a bitch. But nobody really knows Nazareth. It's a shame. It's like criminal that people don't realize the greatness of Dan McCafferty and Nazareth.
Queen really stretched the boundaries more so than any other bands, and people seem to forget about how extremely diverse Nazareth was. But for me, those heavy songs of theirs were just as heavy as Sabbath, Priest, or any other metal band had done at the time. Also, I got to add that album cover for Expect No Mercy. It could almost be like a Slayer album cover going into the depths of hell. Speaking of great album covers, No Mean City, without question, Rodney Matthews' artwork, fantastic. He went on to do the artwork for several bands, a lot of the new wave of British heavy metal bands. One of my favorite artists, along with Hypnosis, Storm, of course, who you interviewed, which was fantastic. But that No Mean City album cover, you know damn well, influenced Derek Riggs to do Iron Maiden's Killers album cover with, of course, Eddie with the axe. I think there's definitely a direct correlation there. Again, something
maybe I could see that, but
breaking
pre Iron
from
Maiden.
Nazareth. I remember seeing that album cover as a kid, just thinking this is the
was
heaviest
metal.
thing
It was a
I've
great
ever
album
seen. And the album did not disappoint. Totally agree with you guys about Zal Clemenson. Hugely underrated guitar player. Obviously from the sensational Alex Harvey Band. I would love for you to do a track by track of the Alex Harvey Band discography. One of the most underrated artists of all time.
And one of the most influential that everybody was all these bands were influenced by Alex Harvey, but nobody knows Alex Harvey. That Last of the Teenage Idols. Oh, I got to go find Alex Harvey Band. Hold on. See, now you got me get started here. This is not just listen to a little bit of this. This gets me every time. Last of the Teenage Idols, parts 1, 2, and 3.
Call me the chic of tomorrow.
Before Bon Scott.
Sleeping on the burning sand. You can call me the king of the cowboys. 'Cause everybody shakes my hand.
Man, what a brilliant guy that was, man.
You can call me the soft shoe banana. You can peel away my skin.
Fucking brilliant. Brilliance.
You can call me the last of the teenage idol.
Oh, listen to that. Oh, man, that's fucking good.
Which featured some of the most talented artists ever. Of course, Ted McKenna on drums, Chris Glenn on bass, who went on to play with MSG. And of course, Ted went on to play with Rory Gallagher. And speaking of Zal Clemenson, I remember when I interviewed Manny Charlton and I asked him why at that point they decided to get a second guitar player. He told me he and the rest of the Nazareth guys were such huge fans of the sensational Alex Harvey Band.
As was everybody. They were all... Alex Harvey influenced Brian Johnson. He influenced Bon Scott. He influenced the Angels. He influenced a band called the Skyhooks. He influenced Nazareth. He influenced so many people.
Bass, who went on to play with MSG.
I rewound you a little bit too far,
And of course, Ted went on to play with Rory Gallagher. And speaking of Zal Clemenson, I remember when I interviewed Manny Charlton and I asked him why at that point they decided to get a second guitar player. He told me he and the rest of the Nazareth guys were such huge fans of the sensational Alex Harvey Band. You got to remember, it was them and Nazareth that really brought up the Scottish hard rock music. And as you said, you know, Alex Harvey influenced everyone from Bon Scott to, of course, the guys in Nazareth. And he said that Zal was an icon in Scotland. And after the sensational Alex Harvey Band broke up, Zal was driving a taxi cab. And apparently Manny had spoke with him. And Zal was mentioning that he had to drive a taxi cab because he was broke. He never made any money off the sensational Alex Harvey.
I can imagine. I can relate.
That was one of the reasons why Manny brought him in. And I do agree with you. He did say that he wanted a second guitar player. He could concentrate more on production. But also, they were all such a huge fan of Zell's guitar playing. And I do agree with both you guys. It really added something, especially on the No Means City
He brought the band to
record.
another level.
Having the two guitar players, some of the heaviest songs, the riff and claim to fame. No Means City, again, such a dark, heavy song. And of course, the opening track, Just to Get Into It. Classic album. And to me, the last great Nazareth album, I agree with your buddy Robert that they lost it on Malice in Wonderland.
I disagree.
Big mistake getting
Zal
Jeff
Clements
Baxter.
Maybe production-wise, but there's some great songs on Malice in Wonderland. You're
Manny
wrong.
wasn't
You're
happy
both
about
wrong.
that. And I think it was the record company that really pushed Baxter on him because wanting the band to have a hit single, a huge hit single like they did with Love Hurts. And
Well,
you can
Holiday
see they
was a hit.
drastically changed their sound on that album and the albums that followed. I had lost interest in Nazareth by that time.
Not me.
But hearing you bring back some of those records, I'm going to actually go back, revisit a lot of those latter records. But to me, Malice in Wonderland, I know you think it's such a great album, but I agree with your buddy Robert, one of Nazareth's weakest albums at that point. And the few albums that followed, I completely lost interest.
I lost interest
I do like
after
some
the
of the
full
latter
circle, after
records.
the last
Don't
live
care
album.
for Bad Dogs as much, though. I think the song, I like the fact that
I
they
think
were
Big
trying
Dogs
to
is
get
good.
back into the heavy, early grooves of early Nazareth.
I like
and
Big
again,
Dogs.
Dan McCafferty sings his ass off on Big Dogs. Such a great vocal performance. But the songs, man, the songwriting's lacking and it's so repetitive. They just extended these songs with the same riff over and over.
Butterfly,
it's just dredging
though.
along, and they just can't get into that album. Although the album that followed, Rock and Roll Telephone, their last studio album, I actually dig more. Great to see Nazareth back doing what they're doing best. I do agree. Jimmy does really take after Manny Charlton, giving Nazareth that early vibe, which I think they needed, that energy. I hated Skunk Baxter's production and trying to smooth out McCafferty's vocals. McCafferty's back to singing as heavy and harsh as ever. And I only wish the best for Nazareth. Another interesting point about Manny Charlton, he was offered to produce the Appetite for Destruction album. I spoke with Manny a few years ago,
I thought
he was
that
telling
he
me
did
the story that...
I thought that because I interviewed Manny Charlton and he told me, I thought he told me that he produced the demos for Appetite for Destruction.
A&R guy, what was his name? Tom Zouton at Geffen, approached Manny Charlton. In fact, he was the first producer they approached because Guns N' Roses were such huge Nazareth fans. And of course, Manny was a fantastic producer in his own right. I think one of the best producers. They asked him to produce a record, and Manny actually took the band in, did a live production with them, loved it. He said he'll be out of town with Nazareth for a couple months and told Tom Zouton when he comes back in town, he would love to sit down and talk and discuss the album and would love to produce a project. By the time Manny got back in town, called up Tom, they already had their producers in line. So obviously he missed out on it, which could have been something very huge, obviously, for Manny Charlton.
And it also could have made Appetite for Destruction not break too. You just never know what happens.
To produce that Appetite for Destruction album, and I think that's a fantastic produced album. Obviously, Mike Klink and Steve Thompson, I believe, mixed it. Great production, but I think Manny would have even done a better job on that album and made it even more classic if that's possible. But anyway, dude, I don't want to go on forever. Just want to give you the show review. So I will give you an 8 out of 10 for this show review.
You go.
And I'm docking you points for breezing over the Playing the Game album.
Well, I don't know that
and
album
not mentioning Kentucky Fried Blues.
All right. Bob.
Anyway, Michael, I always love your track by tracks. I love your podcasts and your interviews, and keep it going, man. I sincerely love what you do.
All right. You too can leave me an audio comment or kiss my ass. Feel free to kiss my ass. rockandrollgeek@gmail.com. Just record it into your phone and email it to me. rockandrollgeek@gmail.com. Or you can call my Skype line, area code 706-621-7625. It's not the way I prefer it because since Microsoft bought Skype, their voicemail line blows. All right. I think we're an hour and 18 minutes, and I think I'm about ready to. Do have a couple of emails. I should probably read an email. This is from Bob, who chose not to have his last name. So, Michael, did you ever get a chance to give the new Jeff Whalen album a good listen? I've been really busy and only heard the first 2 songs. Jindy, I think I'd heard before. By the way, I said on Mad at Dad that I asked. Well, maybe you may or may not know, Jeff Whalen's a singer for this band called Czar. He was a singer. Now he's got a new solo album. And I had been in communications with Jeff, and he was looking for somebody to put his solo album out. And a friend of my show, Jeff Rugby, who used to work at Rykodisc, came on my show, and we were talking. He was a big fan of Czar, and I connected the 2 of them. And Jeff Rugby is putting out the Jeff Whalen album. So I don't know what else. I don't know where I was going with this, but anyway, he's talking. So anyway, yes. So on Mad at Dad, I said Jeff Rugby. I asked him for a copy of the album because I didn't want to do business with Pledge Music because after the Darkness debacle. Could he send me the record? I'd gladly pay for it. And he sent it to me. And anyway, because he had not returned my emails for like a couple of days. And I went on a rant on Mad at Dad, and I take it back because Jeff finally got back to me and sent it to me. So yes, I have heard the Jeff Whalen album, Bob. Anyway, if you'd like it a lot, could you perhaps talk to Jeff about doing a track by track with you? If you don't like the album, that would probably be a bad idea. I have actually talked to Jeff. He does not want to. He's going to come on the show, but he wants to wait to do a track by track. So I have to figure out how to make a good episode out of it without doing a track by track, because I've already interviewed him before when we did a track by track of the first Czar album. But he is going to come on the show. He's a really cool guy and a super, super talented dude. And I heard that he wrote a couple of songs for Tuck with Tuck from Biters, who I actually also connected those 2, but I'm not going to be an Eddie Trunk and brag, but although I just did. All right. I know in the past you have experienced interest in doing something a bit more like Eddie Trunk's show. I think the way to do this will be by growing a list of bands and artists who are friends of the show, and these artists become frequent guests. Eddie has a huge group of friends, but honestly, all are very old school. Okay, I don't want to copy Eddie Trunk. This is why I don't like to listen to other podcasts, even though I do listen to Eddie Trunk's volume show, because you end up stealing things from people, whether you want to or not. At least I feel that way. But yeah, having people on the show on a regular basis, like Bridget West and other people like that, is a good idea. It's just a matter of getting them to be regulars on the Rock and Roll Geek show. All right. What is he? I think the way to do this will be by growing a list of bands and artists who are friends of the show, and these artists become frequent guests. Eddie has a huge group of friends, but honestly, they are all very old school, mostly 80s bands and shredders. This is fine, but there are a lot of rock bands that could really benefit from this type of promotion. Do you agree? Yes, I do. There are tons of younger bands who would likely be happy to be on your show and gain some exposure. These artists would likely want to promote tours and new releases, okay? I've listened to quite a few of Eddie Trunk's satellite radio show, and frankly, it's not very impressive. I heard Eddie had Justin and Dan Hawkins on the show, and he admitted he had never heard The Darkness, which to me is fucking stupid that he has not heard The Darkness. Eddie Trunk claims to be a rock and roll geek, and he's not heard The Darkness. And he raves and raves on the Struts. The Struts are... I'm not going to get into the Struts. They're okay, but they're no Darkness. How can he be a real rock fan and never have even heard The Darkness? Now they have 5 albums and have been around for at least 15 years. I agree with you, Bob, whose last name chose not to be mentioned. You have had some amazing interviews in the past year or so. It would be great to keep in touch with the best guests and invite them on the show every 6 months or so. Well, the problem with this, Bob, whose last name chose not to be mentioned on the show, is I used to have a producer, Shane Chisholm, who disappeared off the face of the earth. And I am too shy of a person to be harassing people to come on the show over and over again. So it's better if I have somebody doing that for me, okay? So, yeah, that's why, but I do agree with you. You could do this regardless of whether they have anything to promote or not. How great a guest is Derek St. Holmes? What about John Speck from the Fags? These guys, by the way, speaking of John Speck from the Fags, did you know that I got banned from Facebook because I posted an interview with John Speck of the Fags, and on the post it said, an interview with the great John Speck of the rock band The Fags. And their algorithm saw Fags, and they banned me for 24 hours because I violated their hate speech policy. So apparently, if you have a band name called The Fags, you get banned from Facebook for hate speech. These guys could easily co-host and maybe even introduce the listeners to music they had never heard before. Anyway, I need to get back to work. I just want to let you know this idea, and also to let you know I will do what I can to help if you're interested. Well, Bob, if you would like to help, you want to be a part-time producer of the Rock and Roll Geek Show, you got the job, friend. So just let me know, friend. All right. Stay frosty. Bob, whose name chose not to be mentioned. All right, one more email from Dave Franco. Take a sip of this fine Tecate because I'm not the best at reading. We're an hour and 24 minutes. We're almost done with this, friends. Just finished the third one of the day. Ooh, that was good. That was probably the best one. Michael, after hearing the Nazareth podcast, I am now a true believer, especially in the greatness of Dan McCafferty. Had Hair of the Dog, but picked up Razamaz and Rampant. I'll probably pick up the rest of their 70s catalog and also at some point. I also bought Lawson's book and gifted it to my friend Joe for his birthday, as he is as nuts about McCafferty as you are. You hear that, Robert Lawson? Podcasting sells books, motherfucker! All right. I'll be approaching you to do a guest host show later this year. I'd like to preview my band's, which is called Too Much Saturn, latest single, as soon as we can get our shit together on the artwork. I'd like to world premiere it on the Rock and Roll Geek Show via Payola, of course. By the way, if you'd like to co-host the show, there's a link on rockandrollgeek.com to co-host for a nominal fee. You can come on the show and promote your band, friends. I really enjoy the podcast and have been a fan and contributor for years now. I look forward to the guest host show. And until then, stay frosty, friend. You too, Dave Franco. I appreciate it. All right, that's going to do it for me, friends. I'm thinking of doing an episode about, thinking of doing a top 10, and I need your help. Thinking of doing a top 10 live albums. So if you have your list of live albums, send it to me, rockandrollgeek@gmail.com, or go to the Facebook group, the Rock and Roll, pardon me, I'm burping, it was fine Tecate. Go to the Rock and Roll Geek Show Facebook group, and if you're not a member, sign up and start a thread there with your favorite live albums. Give me some suggestions for best live albums of all time. It's going to be hard to whittle that down to 10, but yeah, it might be an interesting episode. So just a thought. Maybe, and if you think it's a shitty episode, let me know, and I won't do it. All right, that's going to do it for me, friends. Speaking of Jeff Whalen, I think I'm going to close out with a brand new Jeff Whalen tune. How about that? This, to me, this is my favorite song on the new Jeff Whalen. Now, let me find it here. Let me pull up Jeff Whalen. Jeff Whalen's solo album. The album is called 10 More Rock Super Hits. This song is called Man of Devotion. I think that this song, he should be in Nashville writing songs for some of these country artists. This song, I could picture, I don't know all these country guys' names, but I could picture somebody, I'm just going to name off the top of my head because it's the only one I know, Kenny Chesney, or I don't know, I've never even heard Kenny Chesney, but somebody like that. I could picture one of those guys singing this tune. This, to me, this is a country music smash hit. This song is called Man of Devotion from the latest Jeff Whalen album, 10 More Rock Super Hits. Thank you for listening, friends. And thank you to Wyldlife for appearing on the Rock and Roll Geek Show. And thanks to roving reporter Casey Crenshaw for being the guest interviewer. Casey's always welcome on the show anytime. My good friend Casey. He was at the show with his girlfriend and singer for Featherwitch, Natalie, who I also love dearly. All right. rockandrollgeek@gmail.com. Find this show at rockandrollgeek.com. Find me on the Facebook, R&R Geek. Find me on the Twitter, R&R Geek. Find me on the Instagram, Rock and Roll Geek, don't ask. Facebook group is Rock and Roll Geek Show. That's enough ways to reach me, friends. Thank you for the donations. Please keep them coming, etc., etc. We will talk to you hopefully sooner than the next 2 weeks, because I know I've been slacking way too much about doing new episodes. I got to get back on a regular schedule. I apologize, friends. Here's Man of Devotion from Jeff Whalen. 10 more rock super hits. We'll talk to you soon.
Tonight, from tomorrow to the edge of time, 'cause I wanna spend my life just making time with you. So I hope it's alright if I hold your hand and I understand it. I love you more today than I did just yesterday. Throw your trash into the ocean. Let your love be an explosion. Be my lady of emotion. I'm your man of devotion. Where there's God, I know that's where we'll go. Together, soul on soul. Together, star on star, going strong. And the fact that you're alive helps me through the night. Throw your trash into the ocean. Let your love be an explosion. Be my lady of emotion. I'm your man of devotion. Kiss for luck and here we go now. Feeling stronger than we know now. In my heart, in every motion, I'm your man of devotion. And where you go, I'll be steady through the years as we turn to face tomorrow. 'Cause in your face I see a place that I can know. A fence sees the sorrow. So never say goodbye, 'cause I only wanna hear hello from the beautiful face of my beautiful girl, my love. And I love you more today than I did just yesterday. Throw your trash into the ocean. Let your love be an explosion. Be my lady of emotion. I'm your man of devotion. Kiss for luck and here we go now. Feeling stronger than we know now. In my heart, in every motion, I'm your man of devotion. Throw your trash into the ocean. Let your love be an explosion.
It's a rock and roll geek train wreck.